Allie, I know we've been married for 5 years now, but it's time we learned what marriage is.
That thing where you ruin each other's credit scores, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, McGraw-Hill, so we're going to be choosing a classroom marriage?
A series of films based on one book. Is Peter Jackson behind this?
Marriage : Today, like Mission Impossible.
An affiliated film production. This film is full of loyalty.
Alexander Hamid. My name is Alexander Hamid.
It was edited by a Boyajian. But which Boyajian?
One bench over, Clooney's having a paranoid episode running away from Frances McDormand.
I don't think that's a regulation setup for croquet wickets. They're going to share secret plans until Bill Cobb reads their subtitles.
She is loving his recap of last night's SNL.
And then, get this, they did another Domingo song.
It's always wonderful and special and new.
Come aboard, we're expecting you.
Sure, other folks think they know what it's all about.
Mostly Alfie.
Millions of other folks. But when did two people ever really love each other as we do?
We're the only couple that matters.
When were two people ever so sure they were just born to live with each other?
This first version of What a Way to Go is kind of boring.
We can't fail to find happiness together in this wonderful world of today and tomorrow.
Is this a Carousel of Progress prequel?
A lifetime of wonderful tomorrows. Imagine a home of our own.
She's cooking the invisible food from Hook!
A home made of smiles and love.
He's pretending he knows how to read.
A home safe against trouble and loneliness. A sunny, cozy place, all of our own.
With only 7 or 8 roommates.
And you'll do this, and I'll do that.
Real specific
I
plans.
don't want it to be any other way again, ever.
We've stopped changing as
The
people.
rest of our lives. An extremely attractive idea that young men have proposed since time immemorial. But how valid is it in our time?
Our Time by Thornton Wilder.
The dream of a home of your own, when you go looking for it, can turn into a nightmare.
That'll change soon,
A
right?
social blight called slums. A health problem called overcrowding.
Down on Skid Row.
Housing. These can be love nests in a real world. This is what often shelters young family life in our time. It's
You're
not
right, Mark.
surprising if young people are given pause by the fears of our age.
The Fears of Our Age. Is that a soap opera or a Tom Clancy book?
Or that twice in their parents' lifetime called young husbands away from their
Bleak
family
narration
life.
for an MGM musical.
It's an age of unrest and change, both individual and social.
She is just fully dissociating.
Personal values, of widespread domestic difficulties, culminating in a fabulous number of broken homes.
Simply fabulous.
Relationship amid such impermanence. The young men and women ready for marriage today
Hell of a unibrow there.
born in a depression. Where can they find the courage and hope to take the responsibility of making what should be the most secure of all worlds a home?
They're waiting in line for expensive coffee drinks.
This says a lot about society.
That seems to be the world around us. It's not cowardice that makes them think twice about the problems of raising children.
And abandoning them in front of stores?
Where the tight reins of dollars and cents must ever govern the individual's creative instincts. Or ambitions.
Stop filming me. I didn't sign a release.
And deflation.
Where's this narration coming from? It's bumming me out.
Always to outdistance lagging earning power. It's a tough world.
And we're all living in
We're
it.
supposed to inherit. But they are young people. And the inner drive to grow up and have children, to make a life that is richer, more satisfying, more pleasurable than any other, is strong within them.
Honey, let's start smoking. It'll solve all our problems.
They are determined to find a way to raise a family, and a way to give strength and permanence to that family.
Big hubbub at the Hill Valley Clock Tower.
Hopeful and resolute, who every day in America go through the most serious, solemn ceremony that man can voluntarily enter into.
Getting your own Netflix
Ceremony
account?
that is a sacrament in every religion. It is a binding
Ah, suckers, this whole wedding was a scam to get a new crock pot.
I mean, that's kind of why we got married, to get that new coffee maker.
Moderns enter the most traditional of all human relationships with the knowledge that nothing can make a marriage work except the people who are living it.
Let's hawk a loogie off the Empire State Building.
Man's history.
Meanwhile, on Dr. Wade Street,
Marriage in most of America today is a little different from what it was yesterday.
What the hell's happened overnight?
For instance, Phyllis Burns, housewife by choice.
Secret Psychic by birth.
A year ago, she was Phyllis Hagen.
Her brothers worked for Earl
She was
Janet and Don
studying
Corleone.
science in the pathology lab down at the hospital. At 23, she was earning her own living and living her own life.
Which was illegal in the
Her
50s.
work was useful and interesting. And in her time, being a bachelor girl isn't the social disgrace it was when our parents called them spinsters.
Unmarried women are totally respected but can't get credit cards.
She had to, or because it was a duty. She could take it or leave it. But it was the idea of children mostly that made Phyllis say yes.
The idea of a fresh new life to
The idea of a
traumatize.
life with no one of her own to love and care for.
Like Shirley Temple
seemed
here.
to her like only half a life.
Or Team Fortress or Portal 2.
She wanted a family, wanted marriage.
And she soon regretted it.
Like Phyllis, think of marriage as a voluntary state for both men and women. A reasonable goal for adults, not an end in itself.
Oh, but Dick Tracy transition got drunk.
Chad at the university.
Wait, there were people named Shad back then?
She got the better grades. Now he's an engineer, and she's a housewife.
The Chad engineer versus the virgin
A
housewife.
hospital in her town. A town he'd never heard of before they got to know each other.
The Tongo
They
Panic!
aren't stopped by geography or class distinctions.
They don't even need to have ever met.
Marriage
Were you?
partner nowadays. Chad didn't choose Phil for money or connections or even...
He chose her for a Raising Cane's employee discount.
He'd known other girls that he liked, both socially and in his work.
Might want to do a second draft of these vows.
Phyllis. But he wasn't looking for a miracle. He was looking for a wife. And he chose carefully, without help, as he does most things.
Fierce independence is the best way to enter a partnership.
Responsible for it. Trying to know as many facts as possible, and then acting with faith in himself and in her.
And here we see him, slowly filling with regret over every
Choice.
decision.
It's a modern privilege and a modern responsibility.
I am the very model of a modern responsibility.
Just as she believes that a child is a person and entitled to respect and consideration, Catherine Hardford, another wife in our town,
Still by Thornton Wilder.
is a married woman as a person too.
She was burned at the stake for this heresy.
Catherine is modern, with modern ideas about education and marriage as well.
And Lucy Ricardo hairdos.
The husband is not the master, the wife a slave.
In fact, her husband is usually wearing the slave gear.
Oh my.
Her classes is inferior to her. And she doesn't think of herself as inferior in any way to Frank, who she married 4 years ago.
She thinks of herself as quite superior.
He barely qualifies as a living organism.
As every individual is from any other individual. But one isn't better than the other for those differences.
Alfred Henson's Rear Window Babies.
As a teacher and a mother, Kathy is a free, fulfilled human being. She's able to pull her weight in the
Here's mommy.
In a modern partnership, the rights and privileges, like the duties and responsibilities, are better balanced when they're equal. Frank is a businessman.
Let me be frank about Frank.
Responsible, sensible. He thinks of things in terms of cause and effect. As a modern, he even thinks about marriage that way.
The class with a shotgun and
Years ago, the marriage deal worked if the husband was sober and brought home the paycheck every week. If the wife was faithful and produced a house full of children. Frank knows it doesn't quite work that way anymore.
He's drunk off his ass daily.
and she's cheating constantly.
Meets a lot of them in the course of his business day. He knows a lot of happily married couples, but he also knows the divorce rate in America. Marriage is like a car, Frank says.
Even this is secretly a car short.
Jen Handy is stalking you, baby.
Does our marriage have ghosts?
People have to go on liking each other in order to live together.
Nope, that's asking too
Man
much.
has to be able to ask, is this a good thing for me? For
Baby
her,
Marty
for
McFly.
the child? And the answer has to be yes, at least pretty good.
That's why we got married. It was pretty good.
I looked at you and said, I could do
Young
worse.
people could look into the minds of modern couples. How would they find that question answered?
Oh, here we go.
The positive values that go with the jokes about the ball and chain.
You married a chain
What does
shop?
marriage mean to the people who live it, day after day?
Let's ask this guy, napping outside to a Zorro soundtrack.
Filled with quiet desperation. Bang, bang, I shot you down. Bang, bang, you hit the ground.
Companionship, belonging. It's hard to hit on the right word, but that's most important in marriage. For me, anyhow.
For my wife, who knows? We never talk.
Yes, companionship. But not just being with another person. Phil is very much a gal.
What a compliment.
Ours are like going on a date, with the companionship angle added.
So it's benefits with friends?
It's mornings like this, getting up when it's still cool.
Hipsters get up before it's cool.
Alone, and yet not quite alone. Not lonely.
For a dreamer, night's the only time of day.
This has always been my way of combing out the tangles I get myself into. And she used to go into these woods with her dad when she was a kid.
Until she killed him with an axe.
Get a better team. For the chores and for the fun. When I first met her, we found we kind of liked the same things.
Only kinda.
As well as liking each other. Sure, we'll argue about where the fish are biting today, but we can settle it without anger or a feeling we're each giving in to the other.
By checking if the fish are biting today.
Meanwhile, in early settlers of New England,
I was going to say Deliverance.
equally depressing.
She can take tough breaks without getting fussed. If the sun isn't shining, we can usually fix our troubles with a laugh. Often, Phil and I don't have to say anything, and we know what we mean.
Our telepathy has grown strong and soon will control all of mankind.
That's probably the most wonderful thing of all. That bond of relaxed silence. I can know she's with me without having to touch her or talk to her.
In fact, the less we interact, the better.
I just toss an AirTag on her and we're all set.
The silent homecoming is romantic and not passive-aggressive.
Maybe I do take a little more responsibility than I would if I'd gone out with Jack or Willie.
What's this about Jack and your Willie?
To tell the truth, I get a kick out of it. The old business of being the man of the house, making believe we're tougher or something.
I'm hanging on by a thread called performative masculinity.
Anyhow, there's a lot of things like that I've started to do since we decided to go it together. Trying to understand her crazy notions, having patience and encouraging her when she's low. Really respecting her for the terrific gal she is.
Respecting her by calling her notions crazy.
Then I keep her locked in the attic like I'm Mr. Rochester.
It's not always easy. I've got my own problems, but it sure pays off.
This is like if the interstitials in When Harry Met Sally were directed by Fritz Lang.
By wanting to give her those things, I've learned how to give them to other people. The better I am with her, the better I am with the gang in the office.
Yes, your wife should always just be your dress rehearsal for the people who matter.
This husband business.
I like Frank. I like liking him.
I like to like liking him.
It's nice to be nice to the nice.
Down inside when he's buzzing around nearby. Whether he's gay or tired.
Definitely not mutually exclusive.
Frank, like now. I feel warm and cozy.
Yeah, it shows.
When I like someone completely, without reserve, I find I like myself. I'm happy.
Which is why I look so depressed.
We're all a little like that, I guess. I can see it in Frank, the way he fusses over the house. Or the tone of his voice when he talks to Buddy.
To Buddy Hackett loves asking him about the Shapoopy and Dinglehoppers.
Frank isn't the handsomest man in the world, or the cleverest.
And don't get me started on his hygiene.
You're ashamed of liking him. Life isn't perfect. Sometimes when I want to stew quietly, Frank's need for action is a nuisance.
Is Frank played by Dean Stockwell?
But it doesn't last long. On the other hand, there are lots of things that interest me that he won't talk about because he finds them highbrow. We're different, but in the things that count, we never really get far from each other.
Yeah, are you trying to convince us or yourself?
I sometimes think I can see our love in Buddy, in his eyes, in his smile.
In his diaper.
It's in the air that he eats. Love can be a good, healthy diet, in spite of what they say about not living on it. For growing kids, I think it's more important than vitamins.
Oh, God, she's a wellness influencer.
For young women approaching middle age, either.
Oh, now he's Desi Arnaz?
Got a match for Lucy here.
Old. Every new wrinkle, every gray hair. To tell the truth, she looks better to me every day. Kathy was always good looking. But since Buddy was born, something has happened to her looks. More peaceful.
Yeah, having kids reduces stress.
Sure, I've thought about it. Every married man does.
I've thought about hot gluing macaroni to the ceiling.
I've tried to figure out why we don't get bored with each other the way people in novels seem to do.
Well, people in novels get swept off their feet by hunky minotaurs.
Or sentient airplane seats.
Not in her. Not in me as far as she's concerned. As long as things stay the way they are, I'm a happily married man.
That sounds like an ultimatum.
Yes, it may be different from the movie version, but
This is the movie version.
For, and not just as wife or companion or mother of my kid.
But as Grand Chancellor of a secret society.
For 5 years, I want to touch her and kiss her and hold her in my arms.
Denny from The Room, the later years.
And maybe that's funny, but it's also wonderful. Maybe it's just because we've played it straight.
Like Leslie
I'm
Nielsen.
not kidding her, and she's not holding anything back. The more we're together, the more we like each other.
He looks like a stoned Jack Lemmon and sounds like a stoned Jimmy Stewart.
We give up and try finding it somewhere else. We looked at each other instead, clearly, as we really were, and we liked what we saw.
He's doodling all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Her look good. Nor do brains and strength make a pretty girl any less feminine.
Maybe you should tell her this, because she seems pretty insecure about your relationship.
Well, time to go silently drift off to sleep next to each other.
The guy that prefers a pretty gal to a beautiful woman has got an awful lot to learn.
About the words that are basically synonyms.
Get that man a thesaurus.
Chad is solid.
He's not liquid or gaseous.
Now and whenever I need him. You mightn't think so to see us operate.
You might yell, ditch that loser.
I always seem to be doing things for him, and he seems to depend on my doing them. A stranger might wonder how he got along before I met him.
I do all the emotional labor.
But that's not really how I feel about it. Take his work, for instance.
Please.
There's a lot of math to be done in connection with this building competition he's entered. He could do it alone, of course. But it happens that I'm pretty good at math. And so we agreed that I would do part of it.
For 0 extra pay.
It's work, sure, but it's fun, too. And the fact that he trusts me to do it well is what I call respect. And respect is something very important to me.
Shall we find out what it means to you?
How did it ever get to be so late? I'll have to fly to get to that clinic on time.
She can fly?
Finished with
Wow,
mine.
she is too good for him.
Looks like I'll have to start changing a lot of habits. Even though the baby isn't due for another 6 months.
God, this short doesn't have any funny bits with snapping rubber bands.
Our routine. We've only just settled down into this way of life. And now, that must be Chad already. I am late.
All right, have fun at work, whatever your name is.
The old goof. I think he's beginning to behave like a proud papa.
That sounds like positive proof that he's not such a goof.
I like to get lunch for him, but on days like this, I simply can't. Everything is ready. I'm sure he doesn't mind coping for himself.
Oh no, it's going to be a lost meme?
Funny, I always thought I'd be scared, but I'm not. Not of this, nor what's coming. Chad told me I wouldn't be. When the time comes, he said, your whole body gets ready for it.
Oh, suddenly he's the
So
expert.
does your mind. And he's right. He's always doing that, encouraging me, making me feel that I can stand on my own feet. He's a real person, and he expects me to be a real person, too.
Unfortunately, I occupy an ethereal space between realities. It's inconvenient.
Of course I don't mind waiting.
How dare you question it?
It's what I gave up pathology for. It's to be a woman like all these other women.
Yeah, you look like you have 0 second thoughts about this.
In the most complete sense. It's part of the big thing behind Chad and me. Neither one of us needs the other to live or breathe for him.
We have our own lungs, I swear.
And we're not ashamed to depend on each other once in a while. As a team, we're going to be hard to beat.
We're going to take Penn State down.
These marriages are not perfect,
I'll say.
but all in all, they seem to work. And they work in proportion to the emotional maturity of the partners.
Oh, honey, maybe
Marriage
we
is
are in
insufficient
trouble.
for grown-ups.
Geez, you were right. It is Rear Window Babies.
Accepting herself. The simple, good-natured soul who likes to love and be loved. To be sure, Frank might read more than the sports page if he wanted to be a better companion for his wife and family. But Kathy knows what she's looking for.
Someone functionally illiterate.
And she'll do what it takes to get it. Big things and little things. No one expects anyone.
It's the Spanish Inquisition?
We're going to spend a quiet evening at home.
I'm ready to throw this record if it turns out to be a zombie.
Oh, of course, Jim Kieran.
Of course.
He did promise to drop the list of new Kiwanis members. Come on in for a few minutes, Jim.
Nah, I don't like you.
But sure, we're not doing a thing this evening. Kathy could easily do without the Kierans tonight. But Frank knows he may need Jim's vote when the council meets next week on that zoning proposition.
A lot of backstory to drop this
in they
late.
come. Well, that's the end of Mozart for tonight.
The Kierans hate
But
Mozart.
Frank usually knows what he's doing. And so the Hartfords entertain the Kierans.
With interpretive dance.
It isn't exactly what either family planned or exactly what the ladies wanted. But it won't be such a bad evening.
Marriage is all about sacrificing what the ladies want to appease the menfolk.
The whole team at work. Stresses, safety factors, underpinnings. The competition only has a month to go, and the second floor drawings haven't even been started. Who can that be at this hour? Not Molly nor Jack Haslett.
It's Jim Kieran looking for any excuse to get away from Frank and Kathy.
Bill Martin. Be nice to see him and Eve soon.
Yeah, they say they never want to see us again.
What's that? They want us to go to the movies tonight? Of course we can't, darling.
The only thing playing is Tron Ares, and we refuse on principle.
Sure, but I just told him we were spending the evening at home. But Phyllis is a big girl, too.
Yeah, sound more
She's going to
condescending.
spend her time helping Chad. She's going to see that something comes of it. She's given up her career for the marriage, but that doesn't mean she's turned into a playgirl.
He only reads her for the articles.
And Chad has grown up enough to adjust.
I can't go, grumble, grumble, grumble.
So grown up.
What he wants most and letting the other go. He'd like to spend the evening with a Martin.
Steve and Short?
Finish the job. He knows he's lucky to have a wife who knows what he wants most.
Yeah, he looks so happy.
They're just both so joyous.
Meanwhile, back there, Edward G. Robinson threatens to kill that guy.
There are no boys in a modern marriage. No one who is right all the time, or even most of the time.
Everyone's always equally
No
wrong.
slaves. There are people who feel pushed around, even part of the time. Moderns are rather proud of being free.
Don't tread on modern.
Freedom in marriage is mostly freedom to give.
And give without taking. Modern marriage from Andy.
Use it and enjoy it.
Meanwhile, in a Wonder Bread commercial.
New, this pleasuring. It's the stuff that fat are made of. It's what marriage is all about.
Robert
It's the
Oppenheimer?
real difference between an adult and a child. A child must get in order to live and enjoy life.
So a child's the
An
anti-Mandy.
adult has enough for himself, and so he can afford to give.
Wait, that is Dr. Wade.
Child is
Dr. Wade, the doctor from The Doctor. I riffed it 2 years ago, remember?
Shelter.
Honey, I don't actually watch your show.
How many of these clips just come from other shorts? Damn it, McGraw-Hill, this is choosing a classroom film all over again.
Baby?
Someone else.
You okay?
A
No.
sense of sacrifice or loss.
Ah! Called it. Lost me.
A husband and wife who have learned to give freely to each other and to their family. Have learned
Orville
to celebrate
Redenbacher?
a happy marriage.
Gertrude Stein?
That kind of love is not new.
American Gothic off the clock? Or does this come from another short too?
And the only place it exists, in themselves.
Elevator's broken. We're stuck up here.
More adult, not by looking for their happiness in the bewildering world around them, or by running away from their problems to a dream world of romance. If they are old enough to marry, they should be adult enough to face the responsibility of making that marriage work.
Or just make the cat do the labor.
Equally. That's what Chad and Phyllis, Frank and Kathy, and so many young couples.
Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice.
And what they'll
I
be
lost the
doing
instructions. How do you finish a Sandsburg?
tomorrow. How else can grown-ups find the sense of satisfaction, the dignity,
Always
the
dignity.
grace, the inner happiness of a full life? Marriage is still a goal for moderns.
So come see Thoroughly Modern Marriage.
Featuring Marriage Tyler Moore.
Well, honey, what did we learn about marriage?
Well, babe, I learned that I'm glad we didn't get married until after talking to your spouse was invented.
Well, that was Marriage Today, or more accurately, Marriage 75 years ago. And I would like to thank my partner in Marriage Today, Allie, for joining me on this riff. But mostly I want to thank her for the best 5 years of marriage anyone could possibly ask for. She's at work right now, but I'll thank her when she gets home. I would like to thank my patrons, not only for their continued financial support, but for joining me on a Patreon livestream over 3 years ago to start brainstorming jokes for this riff. Yeah, I first had an eye on this short over half my marriage ago. If you would like to join the next Patreon livestream, even a $1 pledge gets you access, and additional pledges get you additional perks. For instance, at $3, you can hear the podcast Allie and I do together at home with the Dogganses, so you can hear us joke around without the depressing short playing under it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I want to have dinner ready by the time Allie gets home, so I'm off to go cook an invisible meal. And until next time, this is Dave, signing off.